Hi, so in this video we're going to continue talking about the Pythagoras theory. There is a playlist on the YouTube channel and you can have a look at, in last video we looked at the theory of Pythagoras, and on these particular videos now we're going to start looking at some practical questions. You can also visit the mathswrap.co.uk site and you can download a quick test and you can have a go at some of these problems for yourself. These kind of questions are usually round about level C-ish, GCSE type level. They fall into two types of difficulty. One of them is where you've got relatively straightforward questions you just need to use a calculator for, and the other is where you need to perhaps derive a little bit of information. I'm going to start looking at that in the next video, so if you have a look at the playlist that will give you all of these videos, I think in order. Okay, so the first thing is just a quick recap on the whole theory of Pythagoras, where we have a right angle triangle, and the question is that if this is 3 centimetres and this is 4 centimetres, then what's the value of the hypotenuse, which is the longest side? Now Pythagoras will only work with right angle triangles, so the thing that you need to do is you need to check firstly it is a right angle triangle. The theory is that we use a little designation which is C for the hypotenuse and A and B for the other two sides. It's generally accepted that the shorter side will be A. And the theory is that C squared plus, no, okay, maybe, maybe not, C squared equals A squared plus B squared. Okay, so that's the Pythagorean theory, and if you have a look at the proof of that, then hopefully that'll give you a better idea as to where that's come from. But what it means is that we square these two numbers, and if we add them together and then take the square root, that will give us the value of C. So what I mean by that is A is 3, so it's 3 squared, plus B is 4, so 4 squared, and that should equal the value of C squared. Okay, well 3 squared means 3 times 3, so 3 times 3 is 9, and 4 squared means 4 times 4, and 4 times 4 is 16. Well, if I add those two together, I get 25. And that 25 is the value of C squared. So in other words, C times C equals 25. Or if you like, it's this value here. So C times C will equal this whole area here. So what I have to do in order to find C is I have to perform the opposite. And if you have a look on the calculator, there is a square root, which will allow me to calculate the square root of 25, and the square root of 25 is 5. So in other words, this length here, C, is 5 centimetres. Okay, so if you have a look at the post on MathsWrap, that will give you quite a lot of information around this, and I'll repeat that particular problem on the page. Okay, so let's have a look at just changing the numbers slightly, but we're going to do exactly the same exercise. We just might need to just change and use a little bit of algebra to move things around a little bit. Okay, so let's have a look at another triangle, and this particular triangle, and they're going to make it a little bit more difficult for us because they say this is 9.8 centimetres and this is 7.4 centimetres, and they want to find out this length along here. Okay, well, one of the things that happens a lot with exam papers is that they'll give you, they'll say it's triangle X, Y and Z, or it's triangle 1, 2, 3, it's always best to sketch the triangle again and redraw it using the designations and the numbers and letters that you understand, and then work backwards or work back from there. And when you've got your final calculation, you can always put it back as X, Y, Z or whatever it might be that they might want you to do. Okay, so with this particular triangle, I know it's right angle. I'm going to call this side C, I'm going to call this A, and I'm going to call this B again. So using exactly the same formula, I've got C squared equals A squared plus B squared. Okay, so I'm just going to put the numbers in. So C squared is 9.8 squared, so that's 9.8 along the hypotenuse. A squared, I don't know, and that's the bit I'm trying to find out, plus B squared, which is 7.4 squared. Okay, now this is where it just gets a little bit trickier, and you'd need to be able to manipulate this equation so you get A on one side and your calculations on the other. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, the way I would do it is I would take 7.4 squared from each side. And if you have a look at solving linear equations on the MathsRap post or on the YouTube playlist, that will give you some idea of how to do that. So if I take 7.4 squared from each side, it will give me 9.8 squared minus 7.4 squared equals A squared. Alright, so now I'm in a position where I can just simply calculate that through. And if I calculate that through using my calculator, I will find that I can just feed it straight into the calculator, and A squared equals 41.28. Which means that if I square root this, I'll get A, so I can square root that, and A is going to give me 6.42495, and it goes on and on and on. Okay, so generally speaking, with these sorts of questions, they tend to give you an extra mark because they will say, give your answer correct to one decimal place or to two significant figures or whatever it might be. So I'm going to give it to one decimal place, which is, the first decimal place is 4, so my answer is going to be 6.4 centimetres, and that's to one decimal place. And that would be my answer for that question. I hope that's okay for you. Please do have a look at the MathsRap post and have a look at the playlist on YouTube. Thank you very much for your time. Please add a comment below if you'd like me to get back to you if you've got any specific questions. And if you have a look at the next video, that's going to take this just a little bit further on to show how perhaps there would be an A or a B grade type question. I hope that's okay. Please do add a comment, and I'll look forward to seeing you inside the next video.